Excited for this episode because we're going to do something a little bit different, and we're really going to focus on you as the audience. So today is an open forum session. What that means is that today you get to choose and tailor the content that's being covered, starting off with first commenting the questions within the chat box. Now I got 4 different channels that are popping off live right now. I have YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. I'm not seeing the comments on Twitter, but I am live on Twitter as well. And so if there's ever been a question that you wanted to get my input on or my suggestions on, now is the time to do it. So don't forget to comment in the chat box with whatever platform you're catching me on, whether it's on the Facebook, the YouTube, or even on the Instagram. And let me know what questions you have, because today you get to tailor the content. Don't forget to light up that thumbs up button and be sure to hit that subscription and comment the state that you're tuning in from. Hope you guys enjoy this live stream, and we'll start in just a minute. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode, live stream of the Breakfast of Champions. For those of you who are new to this live stream is really dedicated to understand the science of selling, marketing, prospecting, closing, whatever you want to call it. And in this live stream, we're going to do something a little bit unique, a little bit different, and we're really going to focus on the audience. So today is your chance to comment in the comment box or the chat box, whatever platform you're watching this on, what questions you want to cover. So go ahead and comment. Don't forget to check in also, comment what state you're representing from, rep your city. And if you want, go ahead and drop your company if you like, if you're inside, outside loan officer. So that way the community gets to know and understand kind of a little bit of the meat behind your questions. But today's going to be an awesome episode because we're going to answer questions that you guys want to know. You know, usually I choose the topic, but now's an opportunity for you guys to actually tailor it. So go ahead and comment below and let me know what questions you have. Had to mute one of the screens. So, I had a question that was actually given by Max Chapman. Max Chapman is a supporter of the channel since day one on Instagram, and he had a question for me that I think I'll go ahead and start off while everyone's getting situated and getting your, getting that mojo going so you can comment your questions. But he had a question about fallout, and I think fallout is something that we all kind of experience. And fallout is bound to happen. Is there anything that we could do up front to avoid the fallout? And my answer is that, the compliance or getting the prospect to say yes, there's actually 3 kinds of yeses. And you may have never known this, but I think you could relate. So the first yes is kind of like a fake yes. We do it all the time, right? A fake yes basically is just something to kind of get the thing going. Like, you ever say that? You ever hear someone say that? Like, yeah, okay, yeah. That's just a fake yes. It doesn't mean that they're going to go with you, but it's just something kind of to fill the white noise. It's like a buffer. And then the second type of yes is a confirmation yes. So confirmation yes is something like, is your name Daniel? Yes. Is your favorite color red? Yes. Right. So that's that confirmation yes. And then the final yes is the actual agreement yes. It's the solidification. It's the yes that gets you the buy-in. The final yes that actually gets the signature on the contract. And so that's the commitment yes. And so as salesmen, we sometimes forget, or we don't understand when we are dealing with one of the three yeses. And sometimes we'll move forward on a sale through a counterfeit yes. And if you think about it, empathy, when you realize that all prospects really come from a place of defense, right? They're always on defense if you really think about it. And that's why sales can't be on defense. We have to be on offense, because two defenses going against each other is just going to be a conflict. It's going to be like a debate. And so the primary objective really is to understand that your prospect is on defense. And by defense, it doesn't mean that they're going to, bump into you or push you back. To some degree they will, but most of the time they're on defense to defend themselves from looking like out of the norm. So they don't want to be rude. We're kind of raised to be cordial and polite and kind of be passive aggressive. And so we run into these fake yeses or these counterfeit yeses all the time. And as a salesman, we have kind of this biased opinion where we want that yes to be real. And sometimes we'll tell ourselves lies to think that it's real. Because one of the things that we dread most is the word no, right? If you agree with that, right? One of the worst things that we're trying to avoid in the sales conversation is the word no. If you agree with that, comment in the comment box or the chat box, wherever you're watching this, and let me know. Say, yeah, D, I fucking dread that word no. I do everything that I can to avoid the word no, because in sales, we're kind of taught to, get them to yes, get them to say yes 3 times or 4 times and then ask for the sale. When in all reality, sometimes those yeses, though, are one of the 3, right? It could be a fake yes, it could be a confirmation yes, or it could be a commitment yes. And the primary way that you're able to define one of the 3 or which of the 3 they are is typically through the tonality and through kind of the body language. If you see them in person, you can sense it, right? Like, you ever get that? Like, comment in the comment section box before if you've ever heard the yes, but you felt like that gut feeling of like, but they don't really mean it. They're not really bought in yet. But you could tell again that they're just coming from a place of defense, and so they don't want to hurt your feelings. So they're defending you in that case, right? They don't want to look bad, or they don't want to kind of look like they're the one that used you for time. And so they'll say yes to defend themselves. And it's just a way to kind of get out of the situation or get out of the engagement. And I think the key thing is really understanding which type of yes you're getting to, and don't be afraid of the word no. Because if you really think about it, the word no actually opens up negotiation. Because in order to negotiate properly, and that's what we do as salesmen, we negotiate for them to come to an agreement because we want that commitment yes. And so what we do is we tend to avoid no's, but in reality, the no is probably the best thing that we can get, because it opens up discussion. It opens up open-ended statements, right? Like, so they'll go into depth as to why no. And the challenging thing is, though, is that when we hear no, we want to come back at it with a rebuttal, and we want to fill in the white noise. We want to do most of the talking. And I think that's probably a root of the problem, is because when salesmen close people over the phone or even in person, the primary motive is really to get them to like you, right? And so in order for them to like you, you need to really penetrate that defense and get through to that defense, right? And so I think that, at least in my opinion, when you're negotiating with someone, you have to read everything from the tonality to the context of their words and what they're trying to say in order to define whether or not you're dealing with wood or not. Because the most devastating thing to our ego or our confidence is having deals fall out of the pipeline. So if you're going through that right now, where everything you're pitching, they seem like they're okay with it, they seem like they wanted to move forward, but then they went ghost on you, right? Like, won't pick up the phone, won't pick up the email. It really has to do because you weren't able to identify their actual true concern. So keep that in mind. I hope that answers your question. If you're seeing a lot of fallout, if you're noticing that most of everything you're submitting in for a lock never actually transpires into a submission or goes into your actual pipeline, it could very well be because you're relying on that fake yes. So think about that, okay? Appreciate everybody commenting in the comment box wherever you guys are tuning in from, whether it is on Facebook, whether it is on YouTube, or even Instagram. Definitely comment your questions, because here's an opportunity to get them answered. In this open forum session, what we're going to really focus on are certain ways to help you increase your sales. So let me pull up the comment box real quick. Marina from Corona, what's up, lady? Cynthia tuning in from the HD. What up, Cynthia? K South, hey D, I'm looking into obtaining my FSCO license to become a mortgage agent. How can I tell if the job is for me? I'm not too sure what FSCO stands for, K South. Please elaborate. Marina Rodriguez, what does a successful LO's weekly schedule look like? Do you have a structured schedule so we can be sufficient as possible with our time? Yeah, absolutely. So that's a great question, Marina. Without the proper structuring or without the proper time management, it's very hard to do what we need to do consistently. And so to answer your question, Marina, I think that first off, we need to identify the systems that we have in place with our organization, because every employer is different. Every employer is a little bit unique in a way, right? So some employers will have a lot of work done up front before you hand off the baton to your operations. Some employers require that you go find referral partners to send you business first before you feed the engine or the operations pipeline, before you hand off the baton to your operations per se. And then some employers, they don't require anything up front. They just want you to be you because you're a licensed individual and you're the only one who can actually negotiate for compensation, terms, interest rates, and anything mortgage related, right? And so some employers don't require a damn thing from you up front. They just want you to do a 1003 application, throw it to the back, and the back will try to process it. Whatever platform you operate in, I think first step in order to define a sufficient schedule or time management system is it has to complement the system of your organization. But nonetheless, your weekly schedule has to have certain things within it. And I think every single day, no matter what, has to be some sort of time designated towards new origination, new sales. And this can even apply for loan officers who are in outside retail. Like you know what I mean? Like your primary focus is for referral partners. Your primary motive is to catch realtors or get purchase business. Even in your case, what your form of new loan origination is not finding referral partners, because that's not putting you towards new loans. That's putting you towards the possibility of getting new loans. So what does new origination mean? So new origination means that you can divvy up every single day to give a call out to your top 10. Right? So your top 10 are individuals who are either in the process of getting you STIPs to get a pre-approval, are in the process of talking about making an offer on a house, or even your past clients, because you need to generate revenue each and every single day. You never want to get to a point where you're not generating income or revenue, because then that can weigh on you. And you'll notice that more and more days that go by where you're not feeding the pipeline, you're thinking you're going backwards. And then we make decisions that are irrational because it's coming from an emotional state. So for example, if we have desperation or we really, really need to make some money because, for whatever reason, maybe you got taxes that are due and you got this big tax payment, or, you didn't make money the last month, whatever the reason is, if you're coming from a place of desperation, you're not going to be sufficiently clear enough to make the right decisions and commit the right actions. So how do you do this? So first off, in order to do so, you need to be organized. If you really look at like a good sign is your inbox. If your inbox has 1,000 unread emails, or even over 100 unread emails, it means you're not on top of your game. You're not on top of everything, because within that 100 could very well be an email from a prospect that is trying to get a hold of you, right? But because you're so busy trying to chase realtors, you're missing the messages from your actual borrowers who are putting you closest to the money. So think about that. But to answer your question, Marina, I think that you should have a theme. So every single day of every single week you could be themed out. And this will allow you to understand blocks, because to be efficient and as you become more seasoned and more experienced, you're going to be able to create mini blocks throughout your day. But until you adopt the process, go ahead and start blocking off days of the week for a particular theme. And so, for example, Friday probably would not be a good block to contact realtors, because realtors that's kind of like their Saturday, right? That's their day off. A lot of times they're not really emotionally there, or attentively there, because they prep to do a lot of work over the weekends. They primarily work Saturdays and Sunday open houses, right? So Mondays doing follow-ups to realtors probably isn't the best thing, because that's kind of their checkout date. At least here in California. It could be very different, but I suggest that you do trials, you do test runs, so that way you could split test, like how much response did I get from this Friday? How much response did I get compared to Thursday? But from what I found, at least here local in California, is that Friday is kind of like their Saturday. They're checked out. They're not really responding back to calls. They're mentally getting ready to dive into the weekend. And because they're just like us, they got personal responsibilities, family, and other things that pull at their attention. Typically Friday is the day that they kind of mentally check out. So keep that in mind. So maybe you might want to move that towards Thursday, right? And so follow-up calls and follow-up emails to realtors is your theme. So call it Realtor Thursday, right? And then Monday could be a check-in for pre-approvals, because Monday is typically after they went to a couple open houses. And so Monday could be just following up, whether it's a text, an email, or phone call to your pre-approved buyers, or even your prospects, and just check in to let them know that you're either waiting on documentation, or if there's any adjustments that you need to make for their pre-approval. Does that answer your question, Marina? Hopefully you kind of get the gist and you could put 2 and 2 together, but I hope that helps. Let's see. Walter checking in from California. What up, bruh? Robert Reza. What's up, Rob? From Downey. Thank you very much for taking a few minutes. Calvin Johnson. What up, Cal? Art Garcia, thank you very much for checking in. K South, okay, so in Ontario, we have to take a FSCO approved course. Find a company to hire us, and then they apply for our license. Oh, okay, makes sense. So your FSCO is kind of like our NMLS. You know what? To be honest with you, K South, I don't really know too many organizations that practice that here in the US. What I would recommend is a company called Training Pro. Training Pro is very relevant, and I think it's very important that you don't, whatever option, what I found is that you don't go with the option that is the cheapest, unfortunately, because typically when you go with the cheapest online training course, it's usually outdated, and usually the little bit more expensive ones or medium price ones are going to be more relevant towards the course. And that's why they're expensive, right? And if you find the right online training module, they'll actually train you specifically towards content that's practiced within the course. You see, when I started off, I went the cheap route. I went to the lowest cost online provider, and it had all these words that were in bold, and it had all these asterisks like, hey, pay attention to this. And so I studied that thing like to a T. And finally, when I came up to my LO course or my test, I literally didn't know any of the answers because I was studying the wrong information. And thank God I got a 75. Like, man, it was, you know what I mean? Like 75, if you got 74, you'd have to wait a month and go back. But so if I had to do it all over again, I'd look for a reputable one. I wouldn't necessarily go based off price. So I hope that helps you. But yeah, you want to get licensed because that's your key to get into a company that even originates or sponsors you to begin with. So step one is to get your license. Hope that helps, K-South. Makes complete sense. Appreciate that. So Justin, what up? Hey, Daniel, I just got licensed, closed my first deal. Congrats. Finding that first deal is the biggest pain. I am trying to be patient. Good stuff. Love the content. Appreciate that, Don. Appreciate that, Cal. Yeah, so Justin, I think that, first off, I come across a lot of newly licensed, because on my sales floor, I got newly licensed individuals that are just going for that first deal. And a lot of times what it is, Justin, is that it's just really a mental game. And so we sometimes look at sales as a way to close somebody. And we really need to remaster the way we look at it. It's not necessarily closing somebody. It's actually getting out an energy of service. So in other words, I need to serve a solution to you. And if I can't serve a solution to you, Justin, I'm not even going to waste your time. You need to come at it through that type of mindset. Because if I come at you like that, Justin, the likelihood of you liking me for being, all about serving you and not wasting your time is very high. And I need you to like me in order for you to absorb my message, understand my words, and listen to my message. Right? So my biggest piece of advice for you, Justin, is if you're selling over the phone or even if you're selling in person, on the very first point of actually building up the sale, you want to do less than 30% of the talking. So if you find yourself talking, because most new salespeople do that, they don't like silence, right? So they want to make it fast. They want to make it quick. There's two things going wrong. Number one is you're not letting them talk. And oftentimes, in order to get that emotional response of liking you, you need to let them feel heard, make them feel like they're understood. And if you're filling in the noise and you're doing most of the talking, then that's really going to kind of affect the way they view you. And you're going to be over talking the actual true concerns. But try to refine your message to where it's more about them. And let them know that the only way you can help them is if you can help them. Meaning the only way that you can even move forward with the conversation is if you can deliver benefit to them. So before you begin, let's go ahead and see if I can help you in any way. And then they'll open up to you because there's no loss, there's no pain with that, right? So the primary motive is really to open them up, but do less of the talking, make them feel understood, and then pick up on the keywords that they tell you. Like whether, there's a difference between the prospect saying, I need to do this versus I would like to do this, right? So if they say, I would like to lower my rate, it doesn't mean anything. But then if I dig deeper and they say, oh, it's because I need to create savings to offset the costs of my expenses, now I find the true meaning. It's not necessarily the rate. I can guarantee you I could sell that person a higher rate than they have now, even though they say, I'd like to get the lowest rate. I'm certain I can close that person on a high rate because I really found the underlying reason as to why they need my service or why they need help, right? It's because the savings enables them to survive. And so I understand these key features from human instinct because it's human nature to protect yourself. And that's why I understand prospects are on defense. And that's why it's important to really kind of first break down that defense, get them to like you, open up to you, and then deliver your message, because the emotion comes first and then logic comes afterwards. But emotion is going to be your key to open them up to get all the details you need so you could spit it right back. Justin, I got a program. It's called Closing Secrets 101. It really goes into full detail of how to increase your sales and make it a little bit easier. So I suggest you check that out, salesremaster.com. It's on sale right now for $197. Let me see. Thanks, Don. With your sales scripts I ordered from you, I just closed my biggest month, 23 deals, 4 million in volume. Don, that's gangster, bro. 4 million in 1 month, bro. And I'm not going to take all the credit. It's your execution. You made the decision to invest in yourself. And unfortunately, you'd be amazed how unique that is. Not too many people will invest into their career to make their job easier, but will opt to invest in Gucci slippers or invest in that new Nixon watch. Like, that's cool and all, and I get it. I used to come from that place. But until I realized that if I invested into a stronger vehicle, I can get to the destination faster. The problem is, though, is that people will invest into other things like the accessories. People will be more interested in investing into rims rather than actually the engine. And so you investing into the scripts, all you did was just fine tune the engine, my man. So congratulations to your strong month. I'm so happy to hear that and be fortunate enough to be part of that climb. So for those of you who haven't checked out the scripts and templates module, again, it's at salesremaster.com. What Don's talking about in the comment section about, using the scripts to raise up his highest closing month and close over $4 million. Ask yourself, how much would you make if you close $4 million in volume? A lot of you guys watching right now are making about 100 basis points. Am I right? So $4 million, that's what, 40 G's? So think about that. And the investment, Don, right, was like $47. the fuck? Right? Okay. But you would be amazed how many people sometimes are afraid to let go of their money unless it has like an Apple logo or a Gucci logo on it. Like you don't want to give it up. And that's okay. It'll take time for you to get there. But when you are ready, be sure you go to salesremastered.com. Check out what my man Don's talking about. Give up $47, bro, and invest in the scripts and templates module. I appreciate the shout out, Don. Thank you. Agree. Amen, brother. Yes, sir. So a few of the questions that need to come through, what I'm looking for is really some questions that are stopping you. Maybe some questions that are geared around the topics you have not yet heard on the channel, or you haven't heard on the content that you've seen. And I think that in itself is going to be powerful because, again, you get to tailor it, right? So comment your comments or comment your questions wherever you're catching it from, whether it's on Instagram, whether it's on Facebook, whether it's on YouTube. The show is literally questioned or tailored by you. So we got Corey Stellman on the Facebook Live. Says, my question's about building realtor relationships. I'm getting more. My company wants me to work with the in-house lender. How are you getting around this objection and growing your realtor partnerships? Great question, Corey. So first off, the way I'm able to get around that is I go covert. Covert basically means kind of undercover, meaning there's a hidden agenda behind it. And oftentimes, if you think about your current approach, let me see, Corey, your current approach is actually to ask them for business, right? So Corey, correct me if I'm wrong, or comment in the chat box if this is true. Your method or your approach may very well be like, hey Jim, my name is Corey Stellman. I work with ABC Lender, and I'm interested in maybe meeting up with you for some coffee. To some degree, it sounds like that, right? Or hey, do you have a preferred relationship? Or hey, can I work with your turndowns? And again, when we think about the concept of first getting on their emotional side of them liking you, right? You need to create an emotional buy-in first before you ask for anything. Does that make sense? Because the likelihood of us giving something to a stranger is not as high as us giving something to someone we like. Think about it. So the first step, if we want to ever ask Jim, the realtor, for anything, we have to make sure that Jim likes us. And the only way that Jim's going to like us is if they're familiar with us, is if they kind of know who we are, right? And so if you flip it on them, and instead of opening up and saying, hey, my name is Daniel Niekart with ABC Lender, I was wondering if you're going to be in the area to meet up with some coffee, go a little bit more covert. Actually get creative. And say, hey, Jim, my manager, Ray, had me give you a call because we're focused within your area right now with our referral partnerships. Notice that we haven't connected with you. I'm actually going to be in the area between 2 and 4 tomorrow. I could stop by just to introduce myself. I only have a minute, but I'd like to come and meet you in case there's any information or business that I could send your way for any open houses you have in this area. Now, Jim, I'm sure you have a relationship with a preferred lender, or your shop or your company would like you to go a preferred lender. I'm not telling you to disregard that. What I'm saying is that you should know of other potential buyers within an area, and if I can put you in contact with them, it's no harm, no foul, no sweat off my back. If anything, I'm here to serve my clients. So I'm gonna be there between 2 and 4 o'clock tomorrow. You're gonna be in the office. I'll just stop by for a minute, and that's all it is. So it's very non-threatening. It's not asking them for anything. You're not, you've acknowledged the main concern. And the faster that you acknowledge the concern, you're actually handling the objection before it comes out, which is the best way to close anybody. You see, oftentimes, and comment in the comment box if you agree, as salesmen, we tend to avoid the objections. Right? But the primary goal is to really assess your experience so far and say, okay, so when I'm calling out to realtors, or when I'm calling out to prospects, or when I'm calling out to so-and-so, I often get these objections. And if you pay attention to that, you can recraft your message to fully be in line with addressing those objections all within the first couple sentences. And that's how you get into that emotional state of them liking you. Does that make sense? Because they can relate to you. They feel understood. And if you go in a way where most salesmen are kind of wired and trained to do, and that's just come off as a salesman, you really have to understand it's because you're being trained by people who are not salesmen. You're being given advice by people who are not in the trenches with you. I am. So I understand the emotional intelligence behind the prospect saying no, or behind the realtor saying no, because I've done it enough times where I can kind of see the potholes ahead and I know to veer away from them. Does that make sense? I hope that answers your question, Corey. But the bottom line is that you primarily need to be a little bit covert, always come across as if it's already going to happen. It's going to happen regardless, right? So you notice that I didn't say, hey, can you meet up at 2 to 4 p.m.? I said, I'm going to be in the area between 2 and 4 p.m. You're going to be in the office? I'll stop by. I only got a minute. I'm pretty busy, but at least I could shake your hand and at least give you my card. If I could send you any pre-approved buyers in the future, I would love to do so in case you got any open houses within this area that a lot of my preferred partners are located, right? So there's no harm, no foul. You're going to be in the area anyway. Yeah, sure, D, go ahead and stop by. But see, when I stop by, I'm not selling them again, right? My first objective is to get them to like me and be okay with me. Let them know that I'm not trying to bug them. I'm not trying to hound them, stalk them, right? I'm not a bugaboo. I'm not like every other loan officer. If anything, I'm gonna keep my word, introduce myself, act like I gotta go, even though I have nowhere to go. Right? I got nowhere to go, boo-boo, but I'm gonna act like I got somewhere to go. And I'm gonna do that by having my phone, my key fob. I'm not gonna bring a big bag. I'm not gonna bring a truckload of cookies and Danishes, right? I'm not there to meet every single person. All I'm there to do is to basically make contact with Jim, because that enables me to do another revisit. And the more times that offices see me, enables me to become familiar to everyone within that office and learn a little bit more about that office from Jim. So if I can find out from Jim who the top players are in that office, then I'm also going to find out when the events happen in that office. Make sense? So when you're there to do that quick check-in for 2 minutes and you ask for Jim to meet you up in front, or you ask the receptionist to come meet you up front while you're waiting for Jim, get a schedule of their company events. So their office events, whether it's office rallies, office meetings, monthly check-ins, whatever it is, figure out when that is, and then mysteriously show up to say hi to Jim. And well, what do you know? Everyone's here, right? So that's a good way to kind of penetrate the office, but you have to absolutely have to come in more covert, be a little bit more persuasive. Don't be so aggressive. Don't come off different, right? So even if I said, hey, my name is Daniel, Ray, my manager, had me give you a call because we noticed we've never connected with you, and we have a ton of referral partners within your area. If you happen to have an open house that my partners don't have access to, I may be able to send you some pre-approved buyers, at least to visit the open house and get you a higher chance of flipping that home. But before I even go into that, let me just go ahead and stop by and introduce myself. I'm gonna be in the area between 2 and 4. I'll stop by and say hello. And if they say, no, I'm not going to be in, no worries. I'm usually there about every other day. When's the next time you're going to be in the office? I'll just stop by, say what's up, right? It's non-threatening, right? And you've already kind of disclosed that you're aware of their relationships. So use that, Corey, and you should be able to see some pickup. What point do you invest into an assistant? Art, great question, man. I think the point of investing into an assistant is when you find yourself doing more admin tasks than sales origination. So what I mean by that is, if you believe that you can be closing more deals right now, but you're kind of weighed down because you're gathering steps, you're giving call outs for your borrowers to send you their tax returns, or you're spending a lot of time fine tuning your 1003s or what have you. I think that number one is that in order to produce more, you need to have a team so you could delegate a lot of the tedious tasks that we have to do as loan officers. So the second that you're able to afford it, and when you really think about it, it's not like you can't afford it, right? Some of you who are in that position usually have 100 to 200 basis points paid out, and then your split to your assistant could be 25 basis points or 5 basis points, 10 basis points. And as salesmen, we come from scarcity, right? So I got because the way our income is designed, we understand the threat of it could be high 1 month and low 1 month, right? But the key thing is to understand that if you don't make money, the assistant doesn't make money, because the assistant is going to be based on the basis points that you pay them out on, right? Unless you have a unique situation where you also got to cover their base salary. Well, in that case, then you just need to put in proportion and say, can I even afford it? And do I even have reason to afford it? If you're investing into an assistant so that you could take Friday off or Saturday off, or you could only work 8 hours per day, you're probably doing it for the wrong reasons. But if you invest into an assistant because you could be producing 4, 5, 8 more units per month, then yeah, in a heartbeat, even if that assistant charged 50 basis points, because I know that because of that assistant, it's going to take off the tedious tasks that is currently stopping me from producing at a high amount of volume. So if you look at a lot of the top producers, they're usually fed their assistant through their company or given an assistant through their company because they are so valuable with all the volume that they're bringing in. So to answer your question, Art, I think that the second that you realize that you could be doing more business with an assistant is the second that you should invest in one. Hope that answers your question. Calvin, my man, what do you think about being a preferred lender for a company or local business? Any advice would help. I think being a preferred lender would be amazing because, you obviously have kind of exclusivity with that office. So our goal is to be a primary lender. I think the real hack is that once you become a preferred lender, you don't ease up. As a matter of fact, you use that relationship to generate more. And so, for example, Calvin, let's just say you worked for Keller Williams Realty, right? And you were out of the Colorado area. Let's just say in this example. So everyone around that office, I would actually use that within my pitch. So in other words, hey, you know what? I work with Cal out of the Keller Williams, Colorado office. Yeah, I'm actually their preferred lender for all their realtors. And I'm going to be in the area between 2 and 4 o'clock visiting them. I noticed that your office may have access to some open houses that we don't have. And because I'm the preferred lender, I have access to obviously a ton of pre-approved buyers who have already been vetted out because that's what I help them do. And so if I can connect these realtors with your open house, the chances of you selling that house much faster is increased. Now, I know you probably already got a relationship with another realtor, or I know you got another lender, and you probably already kind of have rules on that. I'm not trying to intrude by any means. If anything, I want to help you grow that relationship with your preferred lender. So if I can do this by increasing more closed transactions, then I think it's a win-win situation. Anyway, I'm going to be by that office between 2 and 4 tomorrow. You going to be there? I'll stay high. So very non-threatening, right? It's just giving you heads up, but I've also dropped seeds letting you know that I'm important because I'm their preferred lender. So I'm actually using it for leverage. It's kind of like using one of your testimonials as social proof to get more business, right? So if you ever originate business and you don't have a place to point them or posts to share with them or reviews to share with them, either in your signature or through a link through soliciting or maybe an email follow-up, then I think that you're leaving a very valuable tool in the shed. You're not actually using it. And a lot of times it takes social proof. If you think about the last thing you bought on Amazon, it's social proof that really kind of influences your decision, right? Like how many people judged it? How many stars did they give? We look for these signs of social proof because we feel most comfortable by doing what the masses are doing. And so to some degree, it's the same exact effect in saying, hey, I'm the exclusive loan officer, or I'm the preferred loan officer for the entire Keller Williams office there in Colorado. And we have a couple open houses within the area, of course. And I noticed that you got a couple that that are not, with any of our agents. And so since we have pre-approved buyers, maybe I can connect you two so you guys can get some of these properties sold. So, and I'll be by, a couple hours or 2 to 4. Maybe I could stop by and introduce myself. And then that becomes your way to get into that office, because all you need is just exposure. You need to be seen once, right? And if you've seen once, it's kind of okay for you to be seen again. And it's just very key that you don't try to intrude and impose when you're not really invited, because if you're trying to, if you got someone to agree with you to stop by and you come in with all your bags, your iPads, your tablets, your laptop, your damn phone, everything with you, 9 bags, it looks like you're checking into the damn Hilton, right? You're probably going to put a negative anchor on you. Does that make sense, guys? If this makes sense and this is helpful, comment in the chat box, whatever platform you're watching, and be sure that you already lit up that thumbs up button. If you're catching this on the live and you've never even heard of the channel, be sure you hit the subscription button and hit that bell so you're notified of any uploads that are dropping and coming about. So I hope that answers your question. Robert, I appreciate that, brother. Thank you for the fire. Oops, what do you think about My bad. Oh, what do you think about? Not sure what you mean, Cal. Let me know. All right. So other questions, guys, comment here below. We got about another 10, 15 minutes I could share with you guys. I noticed that a lot of the questions are a little bit geared towards, purchases and hitting up realtors. I think probably the most valuable takeaway that I can ever share with you guys is that realtors are kind of given bumpers. Like if you've ever went bowling before, and I've been bowling. I got kids, right? So when my youngest comes up, even my 10-year-old, let alone my 4-year-old, when it's their turn, these bumpers raise up, right? And so the reason why these bumpers raise up is because it kind of just funnels you straight towards the corner. There's no room for error. And so realtors and loan officers, we're given these bumpers too. Sometimes we're restricted by the words that we could say. We're given a script that kind of is very similar to the bumpers. But unfortunately, that script, even though it's safe and it has these bumpers so that there's little room for error, you have to still kind of look at the method of delivering that throw, right? Or if you're trying to hit the pins and the pins were your sale and you need bumpers, then that really is kind of like our shackles given by our organization, or sometimes your sales manager. You believe that is kind of the rule, but I invite you to let those bumpers down. Like just do it. Like if you mess up, you mess up, but get creative to where you're not kind of confined within a specific way of doing your business. Because what I'm finding now is that not having enough production or not having enough business is oftentimes not because you have a lack of resources. It's simply because there's just lack of creativity. And that's what's great about sales, right? Is that's never the same thing over and over. It's not like we're an engineer. It's not like we work in HR operations. It really is kind of up to us. And if you're with an organization who kind of has like this ironclad and doesn't let you be you or doesn't let you be creative, my strongest recommendation is go find a company that allows you to be creative, because you have to have fun with it. If you think about it, like if your company gives you all these restrictions and you're not getting any results, you're going to grow resentment to the company. And if you let it go on for too long, you'll actually grow resentment towards the industry. Well, I want to open your eyes and let you know that there are a ton of organizations that allow you to do you. My organization is great at that. As long as you're compliant, you're not doing anything to hurt anybody, you could be as creative as you want, right? There's no, we'll give you a guideline. We'll give you the option to use bumpers, but you don't necessarily need to use bumpers. We're just going to focus on your production. And if you're not producing, of course, it's our job to kind of coach you and bring you up. But at the end of the day, it's going to be based on your execution, your creativity, which, by the way, my company's hiring. If any of you guys want to work with me, my team is hiring, and I'm in Southern California, Orange County to be exact. So if you're in this area, or hell, even if you're across the country, you want to learn a little bit more about employment opportunities with my organization, New American Funding, I would strongly recommend, to send me a DM or feel free to email me. I'll connect you with a recruiter to get you put on to one of the local branches. Our brand is very recognized, and we definitely have a ton of resources to make sure that you prosper. So I would invite you to do that if you're not getting what you need from your organization. I said it. Also, another thing is that on the 21st of this month, I've been invited by some good friends at Stickum, which is a client retention service provider. They basically provide you tools to help retain your book of business. So if your clients ever pulled credit for a mortgage inquiry, they'll let you know so that you can retain them and keep them within your portfolio. This will also apply for all the LOs who are actually working credit inquiry leads, because refinance is taking a pretty big market share besides purchases because of the time of year. But refi is also on the climb because of the market. And so if your organization or your company provides you credit inquiry leads or trigger leads, then this webinar is going to show you how to sell them. That's all I've done for the last 5 years is I established the retention team within my organization. So I've gone through years of experience, and I've mastered the process to become so fluent that it's their layups. They're just constant layups. And because it's through a credit inquiry, you already know they're in the market, or you already know they kind of have that thought, right? So the webinar link is actually below the link of this video on YouTube. If you don't see it on the platform that you're watching it at, hit me up on the DM and let me know. Say, hey D, I want to register for that webinar on retention that's happening on the 21st. It's going to take place online. It's a webinar. It's only going to be about an hour from 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Hit me up. I'll give you some more details about it. You're definitely not going to want to miss that webinar, because I'm going to give you some insight on how to retain and keep your clients, as well as how to convert these credit inquiry leads, which are literally the lowest hanging fruit in my opinion, because I've created a system so flawless that it enables me to attract them and keep them my clients. So there's a link below. It's called Retention Webinar, and you're more than welcome to register so that you could join me there. So appreciate it. Robert Reza, hashtag NAFF. Yes, sir. That was a typo. You were good. My bad. Right here, D, right here. Yes, ma'am. All right, man. So I appreciate all you guys' support throughout the channels. We got some exciting things. If you're a veteran or a loan officer who is a veteran, I've got a special coming up for Memorial Day weekend. That's going to give you a coupon code. I think the coupon code is going to be veteran, but it's going to give you access to some of the programs at a pretty hefty discount. And it's kind of my way of giving towards the individuals who've sacrificed and given so much for my freedom, the luxuries that I enjoy every single day, the safety that my family has. And so for this Memorial Day weekend, I'm giving it up to the vets. I haven't figured out the coupon code, but if you use this coupon code and you're a veteran, you're going to be able to get a massive discount on me helping you in return for helping me and my family prosper and live the life that we live. So I would love to help you, create more income than what the VA is paying you, create more income than what other opportunities are giving you. And because you are a veteran or you from the military, I believe that you have kind of not only that upper hand of emotional intelligence, but you also have the discipline and the courage to execute. So keep an eye out for that. I'll be making that announcement. And without further ado, if there's no other questions from everybody, I'm gonna go ahead and end this session. I wish you guys have a great day. If you haven't already, download a copy of the free sales script, which is at salesremastered.com. Again, salesremastered.com. There's a link below the YouTube video. You can download a copy of the free sales script. It's been enhanced. It's been revised. It was revised last month. So if you got the sales script before that, be sure you go ahead and request a new one or an updated copy by going to salesremastered.com. Use your personal email address, get your hands on that sales script. As a bonus, I've added a couple shortcut links to some very powerful videos, as well as the perfect realtor script. So I noticed that a lot of the questions here were really kind of emphasized around realtor relationships. And I give you an example of a real strong realtor script to use within that sales script. So it's called the remastered sales script. So salesremastered.com, enter your personal email address, and I'll send you over a copy immediately. Tomorrow is FIF. I still haven't chosen the topic for FIF. So if you guys have any recommendations, feel free to send me over a direct message or email my team, help@Sales Remastered, for any questions you have. If you want to set up kind of a quick strategy call with my team to see if these courses are right for you, feel free to do so. There's a strategy session link under the notes on the YouTube video. If you're catching this on the live, don't worry about it. Just go to the channel and then look at the most recent upload on the video, and you're going to see the links provided in the notes section. So I hope that this is very helpful for each and every single one of you guys. I appreciate you guys' attention, and I look forward to seeing you on the next live stream. You guys have a good one. Bye.